Welcome to Healing Generations, a podcast creating a dialogue uplifting the importance of healing, strengthening, and supporting our communities, and that addresses the disparities and inequities in communities of color. Healing Generations is brought to you by the Healing Generations Institute, a collaborative initiative of the National Compadres Network and the Brotherhood of Elders. Be sure to subscribe to stay up to date on our new releases.
Well, meteoral greetings, relatives. This is Jerry Tello, and I want to welcome you today to this Healing Generations podcast, collaboration of the National Compadres Network and the Brotherhood of Elders. And we welcome you again to join us on this journey where we bring forward the teachings, the medicine, the memories, the reflections of all of our ancestors, and at the same time move towards transformation and healing. And as part of that process, recognize the importance of bringing forward the generational trauma, misconceptions, all those things that get in the way. And as we approach today's final episode for the year for 2024, thought it'd be a good time for us just to share and reflect and just talk about this last year and the reflections that have come from that, and share and get us to pause and think a little bit about what have we experienced, where we're at, and where we need to go forward. But before we do that, as always, I want to just welcome you and thank you for being here. Welcome all your ancestors and the people that you represent. And as we do that, I invite you to just take a deep breath, recognizing that that sacred breath was the first creative act that you participated in this world. You came out of your mama's stomach after her holding you in that ceremony for a number of months, giving you that drum heartbeat that she carries, inspiring you with her own breath, keeping you alive that way, holding you in that sacred water, and then waiting for you to come to the world and breathe and announce your coming. So we acknowledge you in that way, the sacredness of that act and that sacredness of that first creative movement that you made. And as we do that, we want to thank Creator, thank all those ancestors. Take a moment just to think about your ancestors, those that you know cognitively and those that are just in your spirit, in your DNA. We need to recognize that in your breath, in your blood, in everything within you, lies generations of memories, of wisdom, of medicine, of teachings, and also the residual trauma that's come from that. But we want to acknowledge those ancestors that persevered and continued to strive so that we could be in this world in a better place. As we do that, we also want to acknowledge the land in which you're on. I'm on the Tangwa, Gabrieleño land. The relatives there, we want to acknowledge them and thank them for their presence and just make a commitment that we will honor the place where we live and where we work. And within that, let's acknowledge the neighborhoods, the barrios, the communities, the people, the OGs, the big mamas, the veteranos, the abuelitas, those that guide, that love, that serve, that protect, those that live, those that teach, those that learn, all those people in our communities that without them you would not be. And within that, let's acknowledge, all the elements. Don Unseen, Mother Earth, Grandfather Sun, the wind, the sacredness of the water, and that sacred moon that I just saw very full last night, just shining that light. So, and all the two-legged are animals that that are part of our family, different type of animals that surround us, whether they live with us, whether part of our family, or the squirrel that I just saw running up the tree a little while ago, along with the possums and everything else that come around. We're in their territory, really in their land. And so we want to just acknowledge them as well. We are all interconnected that way. And within that, let's bring to mind our own families. We're going to talk about our families a little bit today as well, and our co-workers and the people we work with, and then the people in our communities. We just give thanks for all those, and the final gratitude is you. and the essence of what you bring, and just giving gratitude. Sitting here as we're finishing this 2024 in great gratitude for being able to be here and being able to acknowledge and be grateful for all that has gone on this year, And so I wanted to take the time really to talk about, that process of transformation and that process of reflection of what we've learned, what we've gained, and what we want to carry forward to 2025, And it's, the holiday time, everybody celebrates in a little different way. And, as I was thinking about this time of year, I came across a picture of my father. And, my father, some of you have heard me share the story of my father. My father's, native of San Antonio, Texas. He's Tapilan, Coahuitecan. He's also Mexicano. And you heard me speak, you heard me talk about my dad, loud talking man, talk very, hey, man, hey, what's your name? Get over here. He's always talking kind of, loud and and kind of forceful. People sometimes would think he was angry. He wasn't angry. That's just the way he talked. But he was a gregarious man too, real happy, and had a good charisma about him. And of course, married my mom, and some of us are born in Texas and some of us are born in California, raised in Compton, Watts, Los Angeles area. And my parents were hard workers. They worked very hard, and both of them were seamstresses or tailors, and used to construct clothes first in the factories, and then began working in the cleaners. And that's the memory that came to mind of me with my dad, because he had a cleaners there in South Central LA, close to Manchester and Central. And that was a key part in South Central LA in the 50s and 60s. And it was mainly black and brown neighborhood, around that time. And I would spend time at the cleaners with my dad, especially on weekends. I'd go there and that's where I learned a lot of my business stuff, because he made me work, and we make change, to with the customers when they come in and bring their clothes and give money, and sometimes they give me a little tip, But we lived there in that cleaner sometimes. My dad stayed overnight. Sometimes he had a little bed back there, and I'd stay with him and work. And I remember one time, it was around Christmas time, and I must have been around 7, 8 years of age. And I was there with my father, and I noticed he was making this red garment. And I asked, Dad, what are you doing? What are you doing? So I'm making a Santa Claus outfit. And I said, why are you doing that? What are you making Santa Claus outfit for? And I was just a little kid. I didn't know. And he said, well, we got to have Santa Claus here. And I truly didn't understand what he was talking about till much later, as he, got through with the Santa Claus outfit. And then I heard him, talking to Felipe. And Felipe was an immigrant man, Spanish-speaking, from Oaxaca. And he spoke only Spanish, pretty much. He knew a couple of phrases in English, but he was my dad had him working as the presser. He used to press clothes, and I heard him talking to Felipe one day, and and he made him try this Santa Claus outfit on, and I was wondering what's going on here. And then his compadre came by, and he was talking to his compadre and says, I got a lot of people around here that, they bring me clothes and everything. They're my customers, but they're my friends too. And, I had this one lady that came, and she looked a little upset. And I said, what's the matter? She says, well, my kids want to go see Santa, but, the only Santa there is downtown LA and at the make company there. And we don't have money to go down there. And plus, when we go down there, they don't treat us very good. She was Mexican, and she says, they don't treat us very good. They sometimes don't want to let us in the stores. And, at that time, during the 50s and 60s, there was a lot of, very direct racism and discrimination. And that's what she was expressing. And apparently a couple of my dad's customers had complained, that they have kids, and what they're going to do around Christmas. Well, nothing. A lot of the parade and everything and all the fancy stuff was downtown LA. And a lot of the, more low-income families, didn't have the ability to travel that way. Some didn't have cars. And if they went down there, they were, afraid of how they were going to get treated by not only stores there, but even by the police. So my dad was talking to his compadre and saying, hey, some of my customers, they've been complaining about, their kids want to go see Santa Claus and they can't go see Santa Claus. And So I had an idea, why don't we do Santa Claus here? We'll do Santa Claus here. And my compadre, what are you talking about? Yeah. Look, mira, I made this outfit. I made this Santa Claus outfit. And I got this thing for the beard and all of that. And I made it and made a hat and todo, mira. And my compadre said, you're crazy. What are you going to do? He says, so who's going to be Santa Claus? Pues Felipe. I'll make Felipe Santa Claus. And my his compadre said, you're crazy. No. The kids around here deserve to see Santa Claus too. That's not just, that's just down there. Not just those, and he called it white folks. Not just the white folks over there. They deserve Santa Claus here, so I'm going to make Felipe. And but Felipe don't even speak no English. I'll teach him some things. All he needs to know is a few things, and I'm going to go buy some candy, a bunch of candy, and we teach Felipe how to talk to the kids. And Jerry, mira, mijo, come here. I'm going to have you help give out candy when the kids come, and you can talk to them, because Felipe don't know too much English, but you talk to them, and I'm there like, what's going on, right? So in the end, what ended up happening is, he was back there, and for that last week before they're going to bring Santa Claus out, he was telling people, okay, mira, this is what you say, okay? What's your name? What's your name? Say, what's your name? And Felipe, pues, what's your name? And so, okay, what do you want for Christmas? What do you want for Christmas? And Felipe, well, what do you want for Christmas? You've been a good boy, good girl. You've been good this year, And she's teaching these phrases, and I heard Felipe. And it was funny, during the week, Felipe was practicing these phrases as he was pressing the clothes, right? And so then it came, and he was telling the customers, he used to say, hey, on Saturday, we're going to have Santa Claus here from this time to this time. And, and they were excited. And it came Saturday, and they got Felipe dressed and put him out there at a big chair, and put Felipe in that chair with the Santa Claus outfit, and they had big bags of candy, and man, all these kids with their family came lining up. They came lining up to see this brown Santa Claus that spoke very little English, and Felipe was there, and he in his broken English, come on, what do you want for Christmas? What do you want? What's your name? You've been good boy, good. Okay. Merry Christmas. And, Felipe is there, giving out candy, and I'm helping him give out candy. And I see these kids so excited, to see Santa Claus, And I saw my dad standing in the back, very proud, very proud that he brought Santa Claus to the barrio, And, and as I was thinking about my father, and thinking about the obstacle, the challenge of, what society presents us sometimes, and we now are, in a new phase. We're going to end up with a new president, right? And I know lately there's been a lot of fear and a lot of trepidation and a lot of uncertainty for a lot of people about what's going to happen, what's going to go on, and when that story came back to me, I remembered, my parents and their struggle, with many things, with racism and discrimination and the fear. And that's why these families would not go downtown, because they were afraid. Back then, immigration was very strong in terms of deporting people. And the police were very brutal about not only challenging, but beating up and doing all kinds of other things, And, when I think back about my dad, he didn't just accept that. He didn't just stay in his fear. He didn't just acquiesce to, okay, well, this is what's going to be. He says, what can I do? What can I do in spite of all of that to create some type of joy for these kids? What can I do to bring the reality of this holiday, Christmas, if you will? And so he creatively, dressed this Oaxacan Spanish-speaking man in a Santa outfit, taught him some phrases, had me help give out candy, and made a lot of kids happy. And, as we approach this holiday season, however you celebrate it, I know there's a lot of people with a lot of fear. And there's a lot of people worried about what's going to happen with this new administration and what's going to go on. But I really want to begin by just challenging you to lift up the joy, to creatively create joy during this time, because the energy that you create during this time right now is going to propel you into the next year. And as I reflect back, I know that, for many of us, it's been a tough year. It's been a lot of struggle. We've lost a number of people. It's been a lot of loss in terms of people dying and transitioning. I know a number of people that are suffering from, several illnesses and struggling that way, So it has been a tough year, and I want to acknowledge the struggle that it's been for many, many people. Okay. But the important thing is, what do we do? What do we do with the struggle? What do we do with the challenges? And, in terms of the process of healing and transformation, it really begins with that prayer that we started with. Acknowledging, that we are not alone. Acknowledging that within each of us is a spirit of our ancestors, that our ancestors have been through many, many things as well. And they were able to persevere. They were able to creatively pull through and pull themselves up, not from their bootstraps, but from their root straps, and figure out a way to lift up the sense of joy and the sense of happiness and some semblance of peace in their lives. So as we transition to 2025, I'd like to challenge all of us, let's take a moment to reflect on what we have learned this year. What are the lessons that you've learned this year? What are the lessons that have come to you? Because all of us, through those challenges, you either move to those challenges really repressing you and drawing you further to fear and really making you get stuck in your uncertainty, or you transform those lessons and those challenges into a lesson, a teaching, a medicine. And sometimes within that, it means that you have to surrender to the reality of what's going on, And so as we think about what you've learned this year, what you've experienced, what have been your challenges, what are the teachings and what are the lessons that have come from your challenges this year? I know for me, one of the things that went on is we lost my oldest sister, Gloria. And, Gloria was the oldest of our remaining siblings, and she was kind of the matriarch in the family after my mom passed. And so she was a very significant figure in our lives. And my sister Gloria was a pretty tough woman. She didn't play, and she grew up, in Compton, in the barrio there. But she was a very loving person at the same time. And when I, think of my sister Gloria, I think of those two aspects, very determined and had a will that was very strong, but also very giving and loving at the same time. And I remember, a time in which, I was thinking about this when my sister's, ceremony for her funeral. And I shared this story about my sister Gloria that, it was a sad time that she was passing, but all these beautiful memories came up, about my sister. And one of them was when I spoke in New Mexico. I had to go speak, and the kind of work that I do, we're helping people in speaking, and I do a lot of public speaking. My mom always wondered, what do you do for a living? How do you make your money? And she couldn't understand that as somebody that was, helping people and talking with people as a therapist and practitioner, that, people really paid for that. And that I went out and spoke, and that was part of, my sacred purpose. So I took my mom with me to Mexico, and I took my sister with me so she could actually, support me and take care of my mom. And my mom was up in age, probably 80 some years of age, and my sister went with us, and I went to do this large presentation to about 400 people. And as we were there, I started out and, same way I do, acknowledge the ancestors and everything, and then I acknowledged my mom. And I said, my mom is my hero. She is my role model. And she is the one that, because of her work and her perseverance and her teachings, I am here today. And my mom, she's like 4'11", stood up, waved her hand like she was a celebrity, and everybody was clapping for her. And then I acknowledged my sister Gloria. And I said, my sister Gloria was, she's the other matriarch in our family. And actually, she raised me. She took care of me when I was a little boy and sent me to school and everything because my parents were working. And these people very admiringly were looking at my sister. And I asked my sister, Gloria, stand up. I want to acknowledge you. And then a very loud voice in front of 400 people, Gloria says, and I changed his shitty diapers too. And people laughed. And I was a little bit shocked that she would say that in front of 400 people. But it was the truth. She changed my diapers. She changed my shitty diapers. She sure did. And, when I think about the lessons that we learn in life, one of the things that I learned from my sister Gloria in her passing was don't wait. Don't wait. Enjoy life. And make sure you stay connected. Make sure you stay connected. Make sure you call people. Make sure you connect with your relatives. And so, the lesson that I bring forward to you all is that you never know. You never know when it's going to be someone's time, when you're no longer going to be able to call them, revisit them, or share with them. And so it's really important that we review our relationships. And throughout the year, I'm sure you've had some good interactions with people and others that have not been so good. But part of the challenge, of relationships is how do we learn to live and to love and to forgive? And as we exit this year, I think it's important for us to reflect on, what have we learned from the relationships that we're in? And what have we loved from the relationships that we've been in or we are in? And what do we need to forgive and let go, right? And the forgiveness really begins with us, first of all, acknowledging the relationship that we have and whether they be with a family member or a sibling or a coworker or a child or grandchild or somebody that we're connected to, a spouse. But it's also, giving grace in that relationship. And it doesn't mean that, if somebody has wronged you or hurt you or done something that's really been disrespectful to you, that you should just accept that. I mean, there's ways to deal with that and ways to try and resolve that. But in the end, if you do nothing, then it stays with you. And it really begins then affecting how we live and how we interact. And it can affect your own health because you can carry that feeling of hurt or resentment or anger within you. And it can, harbor within you, and then it ends up affecting your health and your well-being. So as we reflect on 2024, I want to think about this aspect of surrendering, releasing, and forgiveness as a second aspect of the teaching going forward. What is it? Who is it in our lives that we need to have some compassion for, have some grace for, and address whatever is interrupting or getting in the way of our connection with those relationships? And let me just honestly say that it may be that a certain relationship is not healthy, and that's okay too. That's okay to come to the conclusion that that's not a healthy relationship for me to be in. But even that, making that decision and saying, this is not someone that is good for me in terms of relationship, is an action, but then you have to release it. Release the hurt, release the pain, release the resentment, and then choose, okay, I'm not going to interact with that person, or I'm not going to be in relationship with them that way, right? But in inaction, not doing anything, then means that the pain or the resentment or the feeling that is not good will just sit with you. And that's not healthy for you too. So as we journey on this way of thinking about how we enter 2025, I began by talking about joy. How do we transform whatever we need to do now into creating some joy in our life, creating situations that bring joy, right? In spite of everything that goes, in spite of the fear, in spite of the the things that we're worried about. How do we, really water the joy and create joy in our life right now, so that can be the impetus of what we lead into 2025. The second part is reviewing our relationships so we can release what is not healthy for us. What are those things that are not healthy, and what are the things that have gone on that we're holding that we can surrender and let go, right? And then the third teaching that I really would like to lift up is a sense of gratitude. What are we grateful for? We would not be here today, right now, if it was not for some type of support, some type of blessing from the universe, from our ancestors, from our relatives, from our friends, from so many elements in our lives. And often we go about our lives receiving, blessings, but without the acknowledgement of saying thank you, or just acknowledging how really, blessed we are just for being able to be alive, being able to be as healthy as we are, and being able to do the work we do, even, the jobs that we have, but also the relations, that the people that are around us. And, for me, I feel so blessed to be in an extended kinship community with so many of you that listen, that I know, that we have relationships with, that some I have more direct relationships with, where we talk or we share. But I know that I have a whole host of people. And I think it's important for us to acknowledge those people. As one of the traditions that I do right around this time of year is I go through my phone and I begin sending people texts. And some I will call, but I will send people texts and just, send them blessings. Thank you for being part of my life. Appreciate, who you are. And I'm saying a little prayer for you, right? And it's amazing, just a simple thing like that. How many people do I get feedback from? Thank you for sending it. I needed that right now. Thank you. I appreciate you thinking about me. And often we go through life, and sometimes we need just that acknowledgement that somebody's thinking about us. Somebody's praying for us. Somebody's lifting us up. Someone cares about us. And you never know. You never know. So what are you grateful for? What are those things that you're grateful for? Who are you grateful for? And how can we express our gratitude? And I'm not only talking about the relationships that we have. I was in the backyard, and we have an avocado tree back there. And that avocado tree now is blooming, and giving us avocados. And I learned the aspect of relationships with the trees and the flowers and all those things from my grandmother. Often we neglect just the acknowledgement and the really significance of the things right around us. And I always joke that, my grandma would talk to the plants. She would get up and when she'd go in the garden, she would actually talk to the plants. Buenos dias, good morning, how are you? And, oh, what a beautiful rose. Oh, you look beautiful today. Like she was talking to her. And as a little kid, I thought my grandma was crazy. She's talking to the plants, she's talking to the flowers. And then she'd ask the plant's permission, can I take a little bit of you? Because I have to, take a little bit of yerba buena, or the mint tea, the mint plant, and some of the manzanilla, these different plants, and she'd make a tea. But before she'd take them and cut them off, she'd ask permission. I'm going to give you a little bit of water, and if you allow me to take a little bit of your plant, because I got to make a tea for my grandson. My grandma had a relationship with those plants. Well, that came back to me. That lesson came back to me a number of years ago, and I want to just call to mind, one of my teachers, Don Marcelino, who was a Huichol elder, medicine man from the Sierras up there in Mexico. And I'm thinking about him lately because his anniversary of his passing was a week and a half ago. But I was really blessed to have a relationship with Don Marcelino. He would come visit our center, me and Susana's center there, Sacred Circles there in Whittier. And he'd come once or twice a year. And he'd come and visit and do curaciones. He'd do healings with people there, and then bring the jewelry that they made, that the women and children made from the village, and sell it there. And with the money that he'd make, he'd take it back, and that would help sustain them throughout the year. But I remember with Don Marcelino that the first time that he came and he stayed at my house, that we got out of the car and we were walking down the sidewalk, and he stopped right in the middle of the sidewalk as we were walking before I got to my porch. And I, it's the first time that he was staying at my house, and I didn't know him that well then because it was early on in our relationship. And I'm thinking, okay, why is he stopping? Does he not want to go in my house? What, am I supposed to do something? Am I supposed to, the special cultural ritual? And he just stopped there. And then he began looking around. And there were some birds of paradise plant that I have there that were in front. And then I have two trees, two kind of weeping willow trees that are right in front of my house. And he stopped and he began looking all around. I said, well, what is he seeing? And I got worried. Is he feeling some kind of negative energy, negative spirit? What is he? What's going on? And what am I, how do I, welcome him into my house? Do I have to do something? And I was, not sure what to do. And he stayed there for like 5 minutes. So I'm standing there for, what's going on here? And then all of a sudden he said, gracias, gracias, gracias. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And I said to him, look, ¿qué? And he says, no, I was just greeting the plants, these two plants, and he pointed the birds of paradise. He says, yes, they greeted me and I had to greet them. And these two trees are the protectors of your house. I was just thanking them, all the plants all around. I was thanking them, asking them for permission to go into their vicinity. And I was thanking them for taking care of you. And then we went toward the porch and walked in the house. I lived at that house for 30 years. I have never, as I'm walking in that door, acknowledged those plants that way, acknowledged those trees that way. I've never given thanks in that way, even though I consider myself, someone that acknowledges, the holistic nature of things in the environment. I never thought to acknowledge the sacredness of those plants and what they offer. And what we learned, during the pandemic is that those of us that were connected to the earth, to nature, that ate organic foods, that put our hands in the dirt, that touched the sacred water, that went outside and felt the sun, that were close to nature that way, it was healthier for us. It helped in terms of de-inflaming us, so inflammation went away. And we now know a lot more about grounding ourselves, where we put our feet in the dirt, put our feet on the ground, And so as I was looking at this avocado tree, I was thinking, thank you. Thank you for the abundance that you give. And thank you for the abundance of, the environment that we live in. And so we think about gratitude. I'm not only talking about gratitude of our relationships, but I'm talking about gratitude about the environment that we live in, that we're able to, wherever you're at, what is the environment? What are the plants that are there that are taking care of you? When does grandfather's sun come out? And do you acknowledge that beautiful moon that we just saw, full moon? And all the animals that are there too. There's the birds that come and sing every morning. And in my dad's tradition, my dad would go out and whistle to them, My dad would sing to the birds. And so that aspect of also acknowledging all of our relations. And I find when I get in touch with nature, when I get in touch with the earth, when I get in touch with the plants, when I get in touch with the trees, with the sun, that it's a significant form of healing. And so I want to challenge you to give that gratitude, to take a walk, to look at the things around you in nature, to think about making that a practice for you. Making that a practice for you, just acknowledging those things that are right around you. We can either spend a lot of time thinking about the things we don't have and the things that we want and don't have yet, or we can acknowledge those things that are around us. And especially in this difficult time where the news and all the media and our cell phones and everything just inundate us with this vibration of fear and this vibration of immediacy, of danger, we need something to counteract that. And what I've learned is that those elements that are around us really can help us. They really can center us. And we're going to need that as we move through this next year. So I want to challenge you to, first of all, for you to explore and acknowledge those elements that are around you, that are healing elements, and stay close to that nature and take those walks, but also to give gratitude. Because what I've learned in these years, and from the Marcelino and from my abuelita and from a lot of other people, is when you live with a sense of gratitude, the blessings come back to you. When you live with that attitude of gratitude, it grows. And so that helps us to feed our faith and not feed our fear. And so this third element that I really would like to lift up, for you is gratitude. The sense of gratitude that it's so important for us to begin this year with. And part of that is how do we extend that gratitude towards other people? And that brings me to the fourth teaching, and that is surrendering and sharing. And surrendering really means that sense of really giving it up. There's things in our lives that are much bigger than we can handle. There's things that are overwhelming in terms of us trying to manage those things. And we can spend so much time, just contemplating those things and really being burdened by them. But whatever your faith way, whatever your spiritual way is, it's important to surrender, to ask for help, to not only ask for help from those people that you know that can be supportive of you, but whoever is your greater spirit, whoever is your faith way, to put those down on the altar. Maestra Susie has these hands, these wooden hands that we have on our altar, and we have these little sticky notes, and we write down things that are just too heavy or that we need prayer for or we need help with. But she reminds me, she says, if you write it down on that sticky note and you put it there on the altar, you have to let it go. You have to release it. You can't keep holding the burden of it. You can't keep worrying about it. So what I want to ask you is, what are those things that you need to surrender, that need to let go, that you need to ask for help with? Put them on a sticky note. Put them on your altar, or surrender it. Just let it go symbolically. Just put it that way. What are those things? And some of us I've heard since the election, some of us are so concerned about what's going to happen, and rightfully so. I'm very concerned about our immigrant population. I'm very concerned about women and reproductive health. I'm really concerned about a lot of things. And definitely, we will do the work we need to do in order to advocate and step up and address injustices and all of that. But after you've done that, then it's important for us to be in the practice of surrendering, of letting go, of asking for help. If we need personal help, ask for help. Reach out for help. There's so many people that are willing to help. And then surrendering it to whatever your faith way is. That way you're not carrying the burden alone. And when you release it, it then gives space for the ancestors and the spirits and the Great Spirit to do the work that needs to be done. And you will be surprised. I have been surprised at the things that I thought could not be resolved, could not be transformed, and I saw the transformation. Also, things that I thought were extremely impossible burdens, I saw things shift. And I've experienced this throughout my life, and it's amazing. And to be honest, there are some things that did not shift, that were still struggles. And what I learned in that process is that the lesson had not been fulfilled yet. And so it doesn't mean we're going to be released from all of our burdens, from all of our struggles. But at least if we can lift up those that we shouldn't carry and address the ones that are right in front of us that we need to really face, then at least we have an easier way to go. And then the final one, the final teaching that I want to offer you is that of sharing, of giving, of helping. We all can, in our own way, can share and can give and can maybe help someone else out. And what comes to mind is my little granddaughter Naya. She on her own, because of her big heart and her caring for other people, she's a very emotionally connected young little girl. She's always been that. She saw people that were houseless and she told her mom, I want to help. Without being prompted or she wanted to help. And so she went about, I guess 2 years ago, collecting things and trying to save up money and stuff like that to create little baskets, little bags of things that could be supportive for those people that did not have a home, did not have a house. And this year, her goal was raising, $250 so that she could buy things to create these gift baskets or gift bags to give out to those people that were houseless. This is a little girl that, 9 years of age, 10 years of age, that on her own, she decided that she wanted to do something for others, that she wanted to help others, that she wanted to gift, her love, her compassion to others, And I wonder how much we can do that way too. What is it that you could do, what you could give, what you could offer to someone else? And it's amazing the feelings that come from that. It's amazing how you never know. And since I can remember now, around, not just around this time, but we do it all year long, but especially around this time, we try and gift people money or gift certificates. And we just randomly, the week before Christmas, we just drive around and just give it to people. We also make donations to certain causes as well. But I have seen such happiness and joy in doing that from people saying, you are a God that I was praying for. I needed some help to pay groceries for my family. I needed, money to do, and people just responded like, God answered my prayers. Where did you come from? Why, why are you doing this? And so we never know, in the sense of sharing, in the sense of giving, in the sense of really helping others, how that will impact their life. And when we invest our energy in those things of gratitude, of sharing, it's amazing what happens in our own lives too. Because that inlakech, that sense of the olin, the sense of when you send good energy out like that, it comes back. And it may not bless you, but it may bless your children or it may bless your grandchildren. The blessings will come. And they will come in ways in which you've never expected, ways in which you never thought it would happen. But that's not what we should do it. We should do it just because. And I think one of the major deficits in this society is that we've forgotten how to share and how to give, how to be neighbors, and how to be relations with each other just because. We don't need a reason. Can we just be loving? We don't need a reason. Can we just be graceful? We don't need a reason. Can we just be compassionate? We shouldn't need a reason. Can we just be helpful? And I believe as we invest more in that sense of love and gratitude and graciousness and sharing, that sets the groundwork for a 2025 that then becomes something that, in spite of the challenges, in spite of all the struggles, that energy of goodness and of love and of respect and dignity and trust can grow. Yes, they say the grass is greener, not on the other side, but where you water it. What do you want to water? We know what many people in this society is watering. We know what the political people are watering. Well, we also have a choice of what we water. And what I want to challenge us to do, let our watering be bigger. Let our watering be more loving. Let our watering be more graceful. Let our watering be more sacred. Let our watering be more fulfilling. Because I believe there's more goodness in this world. I believe there's more love and more trust and more interconnection in this world than the opposite of that. So as we come to the end of 2024 and, another year of these podcasts, I want to, first of all, thank you all listeners for tuning in, for joining us, because as you listen, your energy also enhances what we're doing. And hopefully you'll gain one teaching or something that is significant that you can then share with someone else. So I want to appreciate all of you. I also want to appreciate the other guides on these podcasts that are doing amazing jobs by interviewing some just wonderful people. And I want to thank all the people that have been willing to be interviewed and to share their stories and share their lessons and share their blessings on these podcasts. They do it out of the goodness of their heart. And there's some wonderful teachers and wonderful practitioners, wonderful healers that have come on, not just this year, but through the years. And I really want to give gratitude to all of them for sharing their knowledge, because it's all part of this aspect of how we carry the ancestors' medicine forward and how we heal as a people all together. And then finally, as we, move forward, I want to thank National Compadres Network and Brotherhood of Elders and all the staff and all the people that are connected to that really, are the people that allow us to really generate this tremendous work that's going on all across the country around health and healing. Check out the website, nationalcompadresnetwork.org, and you can see the amazing work that's going on throughout the nation, throughout the world. We're going to need all of you to join with us as a cadre of people that is about hope and healing, for the world. And finally, I want to thank Emilio Tello, my son, who really, makes this magic happen. He takes all of our podcasts and makes us sound good and shares it in a good way. And we would not, be able to do all of this without him as well. So I want to acknowledge, Emilio for being the backbone of all these podcasts and all these teachings that way. And as we enter 2025, let's do it with that sense of joy. Let's do it with that sense of releasing and forgiveness. Let's do it, with that sense of surrendering. Let's do it with that sense of sharing. But let's do it with this sense of acknowledging that all of you are sacred and a blessing just the way you are. And I hope that this holiday season, and as you move into 25, that you will recognize and acknowledge yourself, do something good for yourself, bless yourself up in a good way, share that blessing with other people, allow the children to see that, teach them these ways, in order that the next generations and the 7 generations will come, will have more blessings and more joy, and less struggle and pain. And when they do have struggle and pain, they'll know what to do with it. Thank you very, very much. Have a wonderful holiday season, and we look forward to speaking with you more in 2025.
For more information about Healing Generations and the Healing Generations Institute, visit nationalcompadresnetwork.org and be sure to subscribe to stay up to date with our new releases.